It's consistently rated one of the happiest countries to live in the world. Denmark is the birthplace of Hans Christian Andersen. It's where Lego was first built. Carlsberg beer is brewed here. It's even where the TV show Borgen was filmed. But it's the migration policy that has got people intrigued. European leaders, so much so that UK government officials have been dispatched here in Copenhagen to find out more, to find out if Labour can make gains with the help of the Danes.
In general, that it has been, you can say, got more under control in the recent years, and I think that the levels are okay. If there's a good reason for immigrating, there's still a chance to do that.
If I moved to another country, I would learn the language where I would stay or live. So I think it's important that if people want to live in Denmark, they try to learn Danish. Even though I know it's a difficult language to learn. It is, but anyway, I will try.
Yeah, well, I think generally we were maybe one of the first in Europe to sort of make the regulation more strict, more tight. And it seems like a lot of the European countries have sort of followed that line in politics.
And there were just 860 successful asylum applications here last year out of just 2,300. Those are very low numbers. If you contrast that with the UK, the year ending to June saw 110,000 asylum applications. So the numbers are very small, but crucially, they deport 95% of failed asylum seekers. If you fail asylum, you're denied benefits, you do get access to food and drink. Some here say that that is key to integration, but for others, they say it's discrimination.
I think we have room enough in Denmark to take care of people fleeing from war. So I think it's okay. I think actually that we could have room to more.
How do you think the system works here with regards to immigration, integration?
How it works, I'm a bit split. In some areas it works and in some it doesn't work that well. To be honest, I'm supporting that we need to open up more.
I don't think Denmark is very good with migration. I think that we could do better with like integration, so we don't I think that we could do better.
How do people integrate, do you think? How do migrants who come over, how do you make sure they're part of the Danish way of life? Is it work? Is it through...
Yeah, I think it's work and, you know, the community and sports or whatever, you know, different interests, you know, meet other people.
I think you should try to get a job and try to learn Danish. It's the best way, and get some Danish friends.
The UK has a migration. A lot of voters are very concerned about it, so they're trying to learn from Denmark. What would you say to people in the UK who say we need to learn from Denmark? It's been a big success. Do you think they're right?
No. Short answer, no.
Okay.
I think we could do better. Yeah, and I think it's important to have like integration, both with like migrants and also like different diagnosis and everything, but it should always it has to be very inclusive.
This country's reputation as cuddly may well be a Scandinavian cliche, because when it comes to migration, they talk tough, and the facts bear that out too. Asylum claims have hit a 40-year low. Annual claims actually are 90% down in a decade. And what's interesting is the comparison with the UK. 10 years ago, the ruling party here, the centre-left, they're the sister party of the UK Labour Party. They had a threat from Nigel Farage's old allies, the Danish People's Party, a right-wing, far-right party who were surging in the polls. By getting tough on migration, that threat has been largely neutered. So Keir Starmer will be hoping he can do the same when it comes to Reform UK. Well, to find out more, I'm going to speak with Nilas Heinskau, who's the political editor of Politicking. That's a long-standing broadsheet newspaper based here in Copenhagen. there's been a lot of talk about the policy here because the UK government have sent over officials. Could you just outline what the measures are, firstly, for people to claim asylum? Because a lot of it is on a temporary basis.
Yeah, basically what the Danish government has been trying to do is limit the number coming here, first of all. So they've tightened almost all the rules possible. And one of the most important thing is the temporary basis of staying here. So many people who come here have to leave again if their own home country allows it. But also getting your family here has become much harder because first of all, before you can get your family here, you have to turn 24, which means that you can't do it when you're very young. So it has been limited in that way. And also the benefit levels has been lowered and loads of other measures to make it less attractive to come here.
And has that worked in terms of reducing the numbers?
Definitely. I mean, they are at a record low and of course, it's not the only explanation, but it also has to do with the fact that they have limited the pull factors. So coming here has become less attractive.
There's an interesting comparison with the UK because we have the Labour government, the sister party of the Social Democrats, and Nigel Farage's Reform UK, who are compared to the Danish People's Party. They're doing very well in the polls, Reform, but the Danish People Party have been... They're not doing as well because of this policy?
Yeah, basically the Social Democratic Party had a lot of problems losing voters to the Danish People's Party, which is very comparable to Reform UK. But it got so bad that they took voters from them. They took voters what would be comparable to Red Wall voters in UK. And they made a decision in the Social Democratic Party not to let that happen again. So they kind of copied their policy, so you couldn't distinguish the two, and it has been so for more than 10 years now.
And talk us through the controversy. So we've seen the jewellery law that I've read about, and also these, what they call ghettos or parallel societies. How controversial have they been?
You would be amazed how little controversy it sparks in Denmark because there's so much consensus around having a hard line on immigration. But of course, when the jewellery law was introduced, there was an outcry. But it was mostly symbolic, this measurement, because not a lot of people was affected by it. What was much more important was the ghetto law, which is now being called the parallel society law, where you would have a limit of how many immigrants with non-Western background would be able to live in a certain area, and they tore down buildings and they moved out some residents to have more affluent residents moving in. That was and is very controversial still.
And if we focus specifically on Mjølnerparken, in that area there was more than 50% non-Western, as the government sees it, people, and so what, people were forced to move, or their houses were... What actually happened?
Yeah, some were forced to move, and if you go there, you will meet new residents moving in who pay higher rent, and that's the purpose of it, because they want to mix up the areas in Denmark so that no part of town is too heavily influenced by one group of residents. So it's basically trying to mix up.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And this sprawling housing estate is one of the areas that's classed as a ghetto, Mjølnerparken. It couldn't be more different from where we were in the centre of Copenhagen. This is an area that had high crime rates, higher than the government wanted. It had low income, and more than 50% were from non-Western backgrounds. That's first generation or second generation immigrants, and so many have been forced to leave their homes, for some after decades and decades of living there. And it's quite eerily quiet here. There doesn't seem to be an awful lot going on other than building work, and really is probably the most controversial area of the policy. Christian, thanks for talking to us.
Yeah.
This has been quite a controversial area because of what's... I mean, could you just explain how the area's changed?
Well, it's been transformed. Years ago, it was a hard area to live in and nearby. Been an area with gangs, members dominated in this area, and which has transformed to all the area actually. But this has been the main center. But in a few years time, when it's been transformed to a much more positive place to be around.
Because it used to have a very high immigrant population. It still does, but because it was over 50%, they've changed the demographics.
Yes, they have, and it's still a very diverse place to be, which is fantastic. But I think the criminal records of what do we call it has been on a downhill slope, which has been very good for the area and to live in.
Now this is the largest processing centre in Denmark, the Aalbæk Immigration Centre. Many of the people here have just arrived in the country. They're finding out whether their claims will be successful, but also crucially, it's the area where those who've failed asylum, those who haven't been granted approval, are housed, and they're waiting effectively to be deported. Now, it's run by the Danish government, but there are a lot of concerns about what happens there. We've just seen volunteers coming and going, from the Red Cross, for example, helping out. But the concern is about how people are treated, about the conditions in there, about actually failed asylum seekers being treated as criminals. Now, you've just come out of the centre.
Yes.
What do you do there?
We're a new volunteering group. We're starting from next month, so we haven't actually done anything yet, but this was our onboarding.
And what sort of stuff are you doing with the volunteering? Are you helping out people that live there, or?
No, it's more like activities. We're gonna do like there is a children's center there, so we're gonna have activities with them, like outside the center, inside, doing different things with them, just to make them feel like a normal.
And a lot of these are asylum seekers who've had their claims rejected and are waiting to be deported.
No. This is not that kind of center. This is like, what do you call it?
They're waiting. They're waiting.
They just arrived to Denmark to find out what their case is. So this is not a
processing center.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
This is the first center they come to.
And what's the mood like among the people you see? You know, the kids, but also the adults.
I mean, to be honest, we haven't seen that many people, but they seem quite fine. Like this is supposed to be one of the good centers, you know. So.
Yeah. And what are the conditions like inside, from what you saw?
They look fine. They did. Have you been inside?
No. I don't think we're allowed yet.
I don't think you're allowed inside either. No. But no, yeah, it looks fine. There's a school there. There is like a nice cafeteria, big cafeteria. They got a lot of options there. So, okay. I mean, of course, it's probably different if you live there. I've only seen it from the outside. So.
Yeah. Well, the policy here seems to be a very effective one. The question is, though, whether you'd be able to apply it to the UK. The UK is more than 10 times the size of Denmark. A lot more people speak English than they do Danish. They haven't got the same problem when it comes to small boats crossings, the scale of it that we see in the UK, but clearly it's something worth exploring, hence the government having those conversations. The government here, the Social Democrats, say that it's bought them time, it's bought them space to concentrate on other policies, a bit of respite that I imagine Sir Keir Starmer would very much welcome.